Hey guys, and welcome to Achieve with Carolina Live. I'm Carolina Romaniuk, your child and family sleep specialist, and I help parents to get a good night's sleep and to understand their children's sleep needs better. So if you are a first timer and you are just signing on to my broadcast, I decided tonight I'm going to be doing something fun, like my funky headpiece. Hi, Esther. So we're going to be talking tonight about your baby's night wakings, and are they habit or are they actually because of hunger? So if you have been contemplating this for some time, tonight we're going to be answering a bunch of questions on those and a couple of key pointers that I want you to think of. So while we're going to be waiting for a couple more people to sign on, since it's like literally 10:02, hi Angelica, we're going to play a little bit of music and I'm going to dance a little. So join with me. Hi Maria. So let's see. I found one of our members sent me this awesome violinist. What's his name? Robert Mendoza. Oh my god. First of all, he's hot. Second of all, his music is unbelievable. He does everything on violin. So I want you to listen to him. I can't stop. It's so great. Okay. Let's see. This is Rockabye. Can you hear it? I wanted to do something fun for you guys today. Dance with me, guys. Robert Mendoza. Rock on my baby, don't you cry. Oh, we're getting a lot of people joining on. Yay! He's awesome. Just like 2 more minutes. It's time to have fun. Our kids should be sleeping. Let's get a little loose. And then we're going to get to work on talking about sleeping. Okay, that was that. Oh my god, this guy, he's so dreamy. And his music is unbelievable. Robert Mendoza. Yeah, that's him. Okay, so let me close this. And now we have awesome people on. You like my headpiece? Woo. Wanted to add a little bit of pizzazz for tonight. So it's an interesting topic. It's something that I get asked a lot. And it actually got asked this today earlier. So I wanted to talk about it. I knew it's something important to you guys and I wanted to discuss it. So let's see. The question is really, my baby's night wakings, are they habit or are they actually hunger? Okay, so usually you want to be talking about this from 9 months and younger. So if your child falls out of that category, I'll explain why and other reasons in why they might be waking up at night. So, hey Kim, hey John. So Masha's on also. Hi Masha. I'm getting all my regulars and some new people on. So let's continue with tonight's chat because I want to, use it up towards your benefit and I don't want to waste any of your time. So night wakings occur for a couple of reasons. The first, they're really like 2 main ones, but I'm going to add a third one for you guys. So the first one is lack of naps. So they would be short or they don't exist whatsoever. That's one factor in why night wakings may occur. So remember how I always say nighttime is a reflection of daytime sleep. So you want to make sure that your daytime sleep for your child, that they're getting the proper adequate amount of quantity and quality of sleep during the day. And then if they do, that should balance out also with bedtime. So bedtime is the second aspect, making sure that bedtime is appropriate for their age. Now, one key thing that I want you to focus on is not to be stringent on bedtime. Bedtime should be flexible. Naps, on the other hand, should not. So those should be set in stone, pretty much, and bedtime should be flexible. So if naps suck or if they didn't happen that day, what you're going to do is you're going to compensate for the lack of sleep during the day with an earlier bedtime. That's where my early emergency bedtimes come in. So that is 2 aspects. And then the third one is under 9 months of age, it can be a night waking can occur because of hunger. So your main question right now probably is, well, Carolina, so how do I know if it's actually hunger or are they just annoying me? And it's actually just a habit. So how do I know the difference, right? Okay, so let's get into this. So the first thing that I want you to know and to kind of think about is how many night feeds does my little one need? And going from there, you'll also be keeping a food diary, right? We love diaries. I always keep talking about it. A sleep diary. You have your feeding diaries, most likely their poop diaries as well. So you know all their bodily functions, how often, when it happens, you know, etc., etc. So knowing their feeding schedule during the day is very important, especially if they're younger than 9 months. So if you guys have any questions, type them in. Once I'm done with my speech, I will then start answering the questions. So it's usually, like, you know already, like, kind of like the deal, how it goes. So it's usually like 15 minutes or so I talk, and then afterwards it's Q&A. So I leave the floor up to you. Okay, so let's continue. So I'm going to go over towards the age ranges of how many feedings that they should have, and then we'll go from there. Cool. So from 0 to 2 months, if there are any parents that are online right now that are watching and they just had a little baby, or their child is between the ages of 0 to 2 months, you know, like a couple of weeks old, or 2 months, they need to be fed every approximately 2 to 3 hours. It depends. If they're breastfed, they're fed more frequently. Hi, Anna. If they're breastfed, they're fed more frequently. If they're formula fed, it's more concentrated, so they don't have to be fed as often as a breastfed baby. So it's usually anywhere between 2 to 3 hours, and that should total approximately like 5 feedings, maybe, like, you know, overall during the daytime. And if your child is 3 months, then they would be having approximately 3 night feedings. You guys can take a little, you know, sheet of paper out if you want to write this stuff down. So 3 months is 3 night feedings, with the longest stretch would be around 4 hours or so from when you put them down at night when they fall asleep to when they have to have their first feed. So that'll be approximately 4 hours. If your little one is 4 months, you're going to have 2 night feedings, and the longest stretch for that is 5 hours. 5 hours. 5. If your little one is 5 months, you're going to have 2 night feedings with 1 long stretch of 6 hours. Now, what I mean by long stretch, meaning that when you put them down for bedtime until they wake up, ideally that stretch time should be at least 6 hours until their next feeding. Again, don't be so intensified in when that happens. You do want to create some sort of a structure. So this for you is kind of your beginning point, so you know, like, where to kind of go from there on that part. If your little one is 6 months, they should be having 1 night feeding, and that should be anywhere between 6 to 7 hours during the stretch. And they should already be on solids. So you know, getting the green light from your pediatrician that they can be put on solids at that point. That means that their caloric intake during the day should be a little more heavier, and at nighttime you can start weaning them off. Now, some pediatricians do say that it's okay to wean fully at 4 months. So if that happens, then you would have to put a plan together for yourself and how you're going to wean them off during the nighttime. So this is right now, we're just talking about how do you know if it's a habit or if it's actually hunger. So we're going to go, I'm going to continue on with that. 7 months, also 1 feed, and that's also 6 to 7 hour stretch. Thanks guys for liking. Make sure you share this video right below, right over there. You can just click share right now. I know if you do, and I would greatly appreciate it, and it would help a lot to get other parents on that have this same problem. Hi Lana, hi Leia. Wow, we're getting lots of people on, and it's early. Yeah, it's only 10:12. Cool. So make sure you share it, make sure you like the video, and that way we can get more people on, your friends and stuff like that. So you're totally distracted, Leia. I just wanted to spruce it up for you guys. It's very hard, we all have like serious moments all the time, right? We're adults, but it's nice to act like a kid sometimes. So I do my videos to create happiness for you, to help you along with sleep as well, but to put smiles on your faces, because we don't want to be grumpy people. Okay, so continuation. From 7 months, you are going to have 1 feed, and it's going to be 6 to 7 hour stretch. And then 8 to 9 months, you're going to drop the feed. So you're ideally not going to have any feedings at that point. Okay, so your question might be, if your little one is still feeding at night and you want to be weaning them off, how are you going to do that, right? So there are a couple of different aspects if it's an actual habit. So let's go into knowing if it's a habit or if it's hunger, and then I'll go into that part in finding out, telling you a couple of ways in if it is an actual habit and it's not hunger, what you can do to alleviate from that. So I want you to try and decide whether your baby is waking out of habit or if it's actually out of hunger. And the way that you can do that is by asking yourself 4 questions. So the first question would be, is your baby eating enough during the day? And if they are, then they're eating at night also. That most likely is a habit. Because if they're having their caloric intake during the day, but you're feeding them also at night, it doesn't it kind of like bumps heads. So what happens is that they're eating a lot during the day and they're also eating at night, but keep an eye out on how they're eating. If they're actually eating, or if they're just sucking, or if they're nibbling. Because if they're eating, and they're eating a lot during the day, then that's a hunger if they're under 9 months old. Because then you would ideally increase the caloric intake during the day. So if your little one, for an example, has that they're 6 months and they're starting on solids, you would want to increase their solid intake, or you would want to increase their formula or their breast milk intake during the day, because you want to start to wean away from the feedings at night as well. When anywhere between 4 to 9 months, it is still normal to feed a child at night, but most pediatricians, if your little one is growing beautifully, they do want you to start to wean away from the feedings at night to fully eliminate them, so they could start to sleep through the night to do that. If you're having night feedings, it kind of goes into the factor that you can't have consolidated sleep because they're feeding and they're digesting 24 hours a day. So the first thing is understanding if your baby is actually eating enough during the day. So remember how I mentioned nighttime is a reflection of daytime, so making sure that your sleep diary states that. Other factor is if they are eating, let's say, poorly, and they're 6 months, right? Anywhere between 6 to 9 months, and they're eating poorly, but they're eating a lot during, meaning like in spurts, in a lot of spurts during the day and at night, I want you to get your little one checked out for a tongue tie. That is a possibility if they are eating small amounts throughout the day and they're eating during the day and at night, and they're actually eating at night. Get them checked out for a tongue tie, because that is a huge indication that that is a possibility that they might have one. Second question is, I just touched upon this, is do they eat Like, do they actually eat a lot, or do they just nibble? Like, they'll have like 1 or 2 sips. If they just nibble, have 1 or 2 sips, then they're using the feeding as a way to help them soothe to fall asleep. It's just the sucking that they need. It's not necessarily the nutritional intake from either the breast milk or from the formula. Now, if they're eating, I would look into, one, are they going through a developmental milestone? Because 4 and 8 months are usually, sometimes even 6, depending on the child, you would hit growth spurts. So you might notice around that time that they might want to be eating more. Also, have you started them on solids? That usually happens around 5 to 6 months. How are they reacting to that? So if they are eating, then that is most likely an actual hunger. If they are just nibbling, then you know that that's more of an association that they're forming on. So the third question that you should be asking yourself is, after your baby feeds, do they sleep for a long stretch period? Now, what I mean by that is, for an example, let's say you fed them and then they fall asleep and then they sleep for 3 or 4 hour stretches, right? Remember the stretches that I was just talking about like a couple of minutes ago? If it's a 6 to 7 stretch, or if it's a 3 to 4 stretch, depending on the age that your little one is. If they're sleeping for the stretch period of time, it's most likely an actual hunger. So if you know that it's a habit, is if they would wake up after an hour or after 2 hours, way below their time frame and when their stretches. So if they wake up after an hour or after 2 hours, and then you have to feed them again, but let's say they do feed at that point, that can be an indication of just a habit, because habits will happen after a sleep cycle transition. And when they go from one sleep cycle to the next, they'll wake up and then they'll need that association to help them go back to sleep. So in this case, they will be using the feeding as an association to go back to sleep. Hi Nadia, hi Abigail. Fourth question is, just to do a recap for you guys, what we're doing is, hi Mila, we are talking about how do you know if your little one is waking up from actual hunger or is it from habit? So we are going into 4 questions that you should be asking yourself to identify if it's habit or if it's hunger. The 4th question that I wanted to mention, hi Tina Marie, is does your baby fall asleep for the night completely independently when placed down drowsy but awake? If they do not fall asleep independently and they need to be on the breast, or if they need to be on a bottle, that is a habit. If they can fall asleep by you placing them into the crib, most of the time, like 99% of the time, this is what happens. It's very rare that they won't have an association if they have to fall asleep after being fed on the breast or on the bottle. So if you fed them and then they fall asleep on you, that can create an association. If they are being placed into the crib and they are fully alert after they have fed and then they fall asleep, that is going to be out of hunger if they wake up later on. It's not out of habit. So one key thing that I want you to remember is, when your little one closes their eyes, when the last memory that they have is the first expectation they have when they wake up. So for an example, if you are feeding your little one and the last memory that they have is being in your arms and being on the breast, or they're having the bottle, when they wake up and they're not in that position, they will want that, and then that will wake up as a habit. So how you know if it's a hunger is if they have fallen asleep, but it was after they were drowsy enough when you place them down, and they wake up after, a couple of hours when their time interval is supposed to happen and not an hour later. Then you know that it's more as of hunger as opposed to habit. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Just to do a recap, first question you should ask yourself is your baby eating enough during the day? Check them for tongue tie as well. That's a huge indication. Second question is, do they eat or do they actually nibble? If they eat, then it's a hunger. If they nibble, it's a habit. Third question is, after your baby feeds, do they sleep long stretches? Now remember what I was mentioning before on how many stretches that your little one needs. And then the 4th question is, does your baby fall asleep for the night completely when they are placed drowsy but awake? Okay, so now let me see what kind of awesome questions we have. Hi, Jane. Okay, I'm gonna scroll up because I want to go through everyone's questions. Okay. How do you pronounce his name? Pratkishayu? Shaya? I hope I'm saying that well. But hi and welcome. This is your first time listening. So welcome to our live broadcast. Okay, let's see what question. Where's the first question? Okay, Angelica says, if a 2-year-old didn't nap during the day, what time should they definitely go to bed at night? It depends. If they didn't nap at all, they can literally go to bed anywhere between 6:30 and 7. So keeping that in mind, knowing when their tired cues are, and making sure that you're creating more of a wind down time for them, because when bedtime approaches, they're going to be really cranky pants, and you want to kind of go away from that. So making sure that when it's bedtime approaching, that you're creating a very healthy and conducive environment for sleep at home, so you're winding them down also, because if they skip the naps, they're going to be jacked up on adrenaline. So you really want to watch their cues to kind of prevent any type of tantrums to follow on that. Anna says, oh, no worries, Anna. If you guys, this past Sunday, I had the event at Keels. It was an awesome turnout. The gifts were phenomenal. We are planning on doing another one in May. I believe it's May 20th on Saturday at night from 8 to 10. And I'm actually going to be doing one of the facials too. I didn't have time to do it in the morning, but I'm planning on getting one at night. So I hope you guys can come. We're getting the flyer again ready. Once I get the green light, I'm going to let you all know. Get a babysitter. You're not going to want to miss this. It was such an awesome event. We had, like hors d'oeuvres, we had drinks, cocktails, and they were non-alcoholic. But at night, who knows? Because this one is going to be at nighttime. So I want you to come. Bring your husbands. Make it, it'll be fun. We're going to get to meet each other. So I will let you guys know when that one is going to happen. It's going to be at the same place at Keels. Most likely May 20th. So just pencil that in. But I will let you know 100% probably next week. Okay, next. So Allison, hi Allison. My 9-month-old wakes up sometimes every 2 hours. Sometimes she wants to be picked up, and other times she just wants her pacifier. She has a white noise machine, so why does she keep waking up? So Allison, by this age, there should be no feedings. So I would look into her day schedule, making sure that it's age appropriate and you're hitting her biological times. So her schedule is very, very important. If a little one is still waking up at night and let's say they don't have an association, I would look straight into their schedule and what is missing from there. If you are having kind of problems or you don't know where to start with the schedule, just contact me. I put my calendar up here on the post above when I was doing the live video, and we can schedule something and then I can get you started on that. It'll be like a cool introductory between the two of us, so we can get a head start on that. So make sure that you schedule something with me on that part so we can look over the schedule. Let's see. Who else has awesome questions? Thanks guys for sharing. It really means so much to me, and I know that it helps a lot of other parents watch the videos also, because I get lots of messages from other parents as well, and it's all because of you, because of my viewers, and I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm doing all this for you. So if you do have specific questions that arise and you want me to answer them in a video, shoot me an email at itsme@achievewithcarolina.com or private message me and I'll make sure that I will be able to answer it. Mila says, is it normal for a 19-month-old to be hungry at night? Nope. He screams bloody murder around 4 a.m. I tried to let him cry it out and nothing seems to work. No. Feeding at night at past 9 months, unless there's a medical need, that is not a case for you to be feeding them at night. Because what happens then is that their body is eating 24 hours a day. We need to rest our digestive system at night. We need to just go into full restorative mode within sleep. So if you're feeding your little one at that age, I highly suggest to eliminate it and not to continue, and come up with a plan and how you're going to comfort them when they are screaming bloody murder. There are different ways that you can go about putting a plan together, making sure that it's either gradual, as long as the bottom line is that it's complementing their behavior on that part. So if they are waking up at 4 a.m., I would look again into their schedule. So guys, make sure that you know your little one's schedule and that it's at their peak times when they should be sleeping. So if you do have questions on that, let me know and I can help you in guiding you on that part. Anna says, if my baby is always waking up at the same time every night, is that more likely related to a sleep cycle, real hunger, and not habitual? I don't remember how old your little one is. Remind me again, Anna. But yeah, it can most likely just be a cycle. But if they're over 9 months, then it should not be hunger unless there's medical need. So keep that in mind. If your little one is, I think he is older than 9 months, but if I'm wrong, let me know. But it shouldn't be really habitual. It could, it depends on your situation, because there's a lot more that I would want to know. But if they're waking up at the same time every night, that can just be one sleep cycle. It depends on when they're waking up. If they're waking up, like at 1 and then they're waking up at 4, then that's not one sleep cycle. That's a lot that kind of happened throughout the night. So I would look into their schedule and why they're even waking up to begin with, because the child by 6 months should really be sleeping through the night, but they can still have a feed at night as well. So again, I need to know a little bit more on your detail and reminding me how old your little one is. Victoria says, my 9-month-old cluster feeds at 7:30. His bedtime after 20 minutes of eating. I lay him in the crib and he passes out for the night on his own until 7 a.m. Okay, so Victoria, your pediatrician wants you to drop the cluster feeds. I agree. You need to put in a plan together for yourself and what you're going to do when he wakes up. So right now it's habitual. I understand what you're saying by the fact that your baby knows what he needs to get through the night, and what that means is that he has an association. So when you're saying that that he knows what he needs to go to sleep, that is a habit that has formed. So he needs a feed. He doesn't need it. He wants that feed in order to fall asleep. That's how he knows there's a pattern that started to form, that he knows, okay, in order for me to fall asleep, I need to have a feed. So by 9 months, unless there's a medical need, again, I sound like a broken record, but I want you to understand that past that time, there should not be a reason for a child to be fed at night. It interferes with their need for sleep. And yes, sometimes a child can just have that feeding and then they go straight to bed. But what happens is when they're eating, they're not resting. They're digesting. And then you'll have more poopy diapers, and then you'll have to wake up and change those. So literally, if you're waking up throughout the night to feed them, they're awake to eat that feed. So no one is sleeping. So what I want you to do, Victoria, is to put a plan together for yourself and what you're going to do in weaning him off of the feed, so then you can actually get consolidated night sleep. Okay. Let's see. Lana asks, Isabel sleeps straight until 4 and 5 and then wakes up and wanting the boob every half hour, 45 minutes. Is that hunger? No, that's a habit, because your little one is past 9 months. So if she wakes up around that time, your main indication in how you help her go back to sleep is you give her the boob. So yes, giving the boob automatically puts a little one to sleep, but it does it temporarily. So remember what I mentioned about that is that if they sleep for a long period of time, then that is more out of just a habit, but no, out of hunger. But if they sleep in short spurts of time when you're feeding them, that's more out of a habit. So in your case, it's just habit. Hi, Yana. Let's see. Allison, we have scheduled for tomorrow. Yay, Allison. Okay, I'm excited. Lana asks, my 2-year-old is in daycare and eats well there and eats dinner when she gets home, but still wakes up for the bottle at night and a few times. What can I do? I would decrease the ounces. Don't switch from milk to water. It's liquid to liquid. I have never had success with that because it's just, to me, it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't make sense to the kids either, because if you're going from milk to water, it's just liquid to liquid. So what I would do is I would instill proper sleep hygiene for your little one, meaning that one, I would reduce the ounces that you're giving him in the bottle, and or two, you can do cold turkey and put a plan together for yourself and how you're going to help your little one go back to sleep when you're not giving them that bottle, because they're going to be screaming bloody murder in the middle of the night if they're so used to getting a bottle. So one of the things that you can do is talk to them during the day, tell them that they're a big boy, or big girl, sorry, and that she doesn't need a bottle anymore. And maybe you can switch to, instead of the bottle, to give an actual sippy cup, and then transition from the sippy cup to get away from there on the ounces. But ideally you need to, you said your daughter vomits if I let her scream. There's no need for you to let her scream. You can be with her during the process and just put a plan together for yourself and how you will calm her down when you're not giving her the bottle. I'm not saying to cry it out or just not give it to her and keep the door closed. Be part of the process. Help her with it. Help her to get through it. By 2 years old, their behaviors are so ingrained, and they're little people already at that point in time. So you want to really work with her behavior and be there for her. Make sure that you have that built-in bonds and that trust, that connection between you and your little one, and that she trusts you, of course, because you're her mama. So I would just put in a plan together and how you would wean her away from that. One of them is, like I mentioned, you can decrease the ounces in the bottle, and maybe have a chat with her and do like a family meeting, because I usually do those with toddlers, and that does help a lot. Hi, Viana. Anna, 8 months. Okay. 8 months. Wow. I thought he was 12. So let me go back to your question. If he wakes up, okay. So since he's 8 months, it can be real hunger, but you'll know if it is once you feed him, and then he goes back to sleep, and then he'll wake up like a little bit later. So remember, 9 months is your key time frame when kids don't need to be fed anymore. So it's still normal. Like my kids, Ari, my oldest, he still ate until 9 months. So I just left it at that. And after 9 months, then I weaned him off because he didn't need it anymore. Hi, Maria. Ooh, we got a lot of people on. Okay, so Milana, so at 6 months to feed, it's okay. Yes, it's okay. If your pediatrician gives you the green light, like I mentioned, to wean off of the feed, some of them do by 4 months, that's fine. Or your little one can still be genuinely hungry under 9 months of age. Yana says, how much should a 4-month-old eat during the day to be able to sleep through the night? Okay, so it depends if you're breastfeeding or if you're formula feeding, because there are two different types of, what are they called? Standards. But I don't specialize in feeding, I specialize in sleep. So I would have you go to speak to a lactation counselor if you are breastfeeding, or if you are formula feeding, call up the company that you're using, whichever formula that you're using, and ask them on the quantity of how many ounces and stuff like that that they need during the day. And make sure that you are speaking to your pediatrician as well, that they have the growth charts and stuff like that. Also, when you ask your pediatrician, most of them use the standard formula feeding chart. So if you are breastfeeding, make sure that you ask your pediatrician, is this a breastfeeding chart that you are using and not a formula feeding chart, because they're two separate pieces. Okay. My pleasure, Milana. Let's see. Anna says, my sister's 2-year-old suddenly started to wake up once in the middle of the night for a bottle. He has major attachment issues right now. Is this related? Yes. Anna, have your sister give me a call. You can talk to him during the day, but there's a lot more information that I really need. So Anna, have your sister give me a call. I want to find out why all of a sudden this is happening, and the fact that they need a bottle. So yeah, just give her my info and have her give me a call, and then I'll find out more information, and then I can properly address them for her. Okay. Ella. How to comfort a crying baby, 15 months, when he wakes up crying and wants the bottle. Okay, so 15 months, bottle out. What you would do is you would put it into stages. So either you can decrease the formula or the breastfeeding from the bottle and decrease the ounces in that. That's stage 1. Stage 2 is you would come up with a plan, a gradual approach, because we don't want to use anything direct when your little one has an attachment to feeding. So feeding and rocking associations are very intense, and I usually do gradual approaches to eliminate those. And then depending on how they're behaving, then we can kind of move into a more direct approach, but usually I start off with gradual. So what you would want to do is there are like a couple of things that you can do. The first thing is I would most likely have them, how would I go about this? So 15 months, you would first work on eliminating the bottle. That's the first thing you would do. And then after that, we can do something as simple as a chair method. That might work for some families. Or you can do the hug it out approach. So it all depends on where you are at that stage and how your little one is reacting after you have eliminated the bottle. Because that's the first thing that I would want you to do, is eliminate that association and then work on the approach. So if you do have questions, let me know after and let's schedule something together, Ella. Okay, yeah, awesome, Anna. So thank you for giving out my info. And does anyone have any more questions? It's 10:39. So I want to go to bed. And I know you guys want to go to bed too. My pleasure, Ella. Any more questions? Like my headpiece for today? So we did a lot of chatting on night wakings. I've been doing a bunch of videos on those, on habits and stuff like that. So today I wanted to focus on, again, mainly understanding the difference between the habit and an actual feed. Okay, so Allegra has one question, and then we're going to wrap up, and then we're going to be ready for tomorrow's video. So my 4-year-old son constantly awakes during the night. He starts off in his bed and in the middle of the night, and he'll sneak into my bed. So Allegra, that's an awesome question. I'm actually going to be talking tomorrow about toddlers. So if you want to sign on tomorrow, and then I can go ahead and kind of clarify on what to do on that part. So today's video, we were just focusing on mainly on habits and hunger within knowing when your little one wakes up at night, which one it is. So make sure, Allegra, that you sign on tomorrow for that video on toddler time. So we're going to do that. So that is all for tonight. That's it. I don't really know how else to wrap it up, but sweet dreams, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow at 10 p.m. sharp. Love you. Bye.